Common sense, make it make sense. Welcome one and all to the Kommon Cents Podcast. We have our intelligent co-host here, Wita the legend and Q. Wita, you look serious. Talk to you. What going?
It's a serious moment.
Q, talk to you. What's up, man? How are you?
Where's the Patois?
All right. Like man, them ready. So this evening's topic is gonna be a moment, as Wita said. So the topic of tonight is, should Jamaican Patois be recognized as an official language? So should the Jamaican Patois be recognized as an official language? Well, we have a lot of discussions and a lot of points, and man, them ready. So I'll jump right into it. And
But before we start, just remind them to go ahead, click that subscription
you
bell.
remind them.
Yeah, man. Click that subscription bell, leave a like, and don't forget, we are looking forward to your comment, and because we want to reply to you just the same and see what's on your mind.
It's a lifestyle moment.
Oh yeah, drink. Oh yeah, definitely follow us on our socials. So we're on TikTok, if you still have TikTok. We're on Instagram, and obviously right here on YouTube. So definitely like, share, subscribe, and follow us on all our socials, because we have some big things coming. And if you're not a part of our community, you won't get notifications, right? So definitely stay tuned.
Yeah, I was saying they can follow us on X as well. Huh?
Oh, we're on X as well. There you go. And more places to come in the near future. So just keep posted. But I want to jump right into it, We don't want to dilly-dally, as one would say in Patois. So the question again is, should Jamaican Patois be recognized as an official language? Q, what's your take on it?
Well, my take, it is already recognized worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So why not?
All right. Wita.
I am very proud of my culture, and I've seen so many times our native language, known as Patois, have been shoved in the back, and it's seen like in the case where once you have a child or someone speak, it's not proper enough, and we don't respect it enough. But with me traveling and in music, and I see when persons realize that you're from Jamaica, they immediately burst into some patois language that they're familiar with, and the joy on their face when they say it is something great. So, with that, I definitely think you should.
All right. Cool. Yeah, man. So thanks for your views. My view right now, I don't think it should. I don't think it should. Right?
What did you say, sir? No, what did you just say?
I don't think it should. And
take a seat.
I'm going to explain. Right? But before I do that, I'm going to get your views. So Q, you're the first one. You said that it should be an official language. So since English and Patois are so closely related, right? And some would say it's hard to separate the two. Why do you think that we need a second official language?
The same way like we need a flag.
We only have one flag.
Yeah. We never always have a flag. It was created, right?
Mm-hmm.
To identify us, right? So think about it. Bob Marley, Miss Lou, Oliver Samuels, Carl Bradshaw, Teddy Brookshot, Louis Rankin. These names are just rank among a few, right? We don't know the impact we have for such a small island, right? Throughout the world, anywhere going to Jamaica, them say, yeah, man, Irie, Wagwan, Wayoy, Louis Bennett, right? Those those people fight for these things, for the patois to be appreciate in Jamaica, because it has been appreciated all over the world with such a great culture. And Patois is a part of it, right? Even the indecent language, people take it with great pleasure of saying it. It's a part of our identity.
Right.
I mean, you have books that teaching people to speak Patois.
Oh, we do? Okay.
No,
So
I didn't say we do. I said there are books
there are
out
books.
there.
Okay,
Yes,
okay. But nothing official though.
it's a book.
It's a book, but it's not
So
officially
basically,
commissioned.
so basically, what I'm saying is it's getting there.
Okay.
It's getting there. I mean, it's a form of identity for us. You know what I mean? Why
Mhm.
yo?
All right, Q, thank you very much. With a give a slice that same question, but we'll put a twist on it. So don't you think that focusing on um improving English fluency would be a more practical solution at this time than muddying the water somewhere with another language?
Well, I do think making sure that we are diverse in the sense where we can speak at least two or three language should take in consideration when we're putting our kids out there. And yes, for them to know they're native. We can look on the different races. The Chinese make sure, no matter if they're in America or anywhere in the world, that their children are able to speak Chinese. Italians, you name it. They always make sure that they're able to communicate with each other. And that's, for that joke aside, that's how some of them chat with the local part where it is. That's how some of them actually communicate when we can't understand. So yes, English is the international speaking, but also yeah, as a man from your country, you have to have pride and be elated to speak in your, as I said, native language, which is Patois. So yes, we should focus on English, but also the Patois is. I see recently Patois was added to the Google translation, so the world is realizing.
It was recently added to Google Translation.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's two sources of information basically are I guess two opportunities there to learn how to speak the language, right?
Hmm.
So there are books, Google Translate. All right, cool.
Can I say
Um,
something else?
yeah, man.
Okay, man. I appreciate you saying that you don't believe it should, because quite a few persons will say, people love patois, but when their child go out in public and speak in that patois, not for them slap them. You need to talk good man, talk proper. So it's still, even though they say they are proud of it, they are fake. So I appreciate that you are being realistic about it, because a lot of them are fake towards it. They said, they're proud of the culture, but they don't want their children to say, Mama, me I come, mommy, they come. They
Correct.
say, the child sound down, and they need to speak proper, and
Mhm.
the list goes on. So I appreciate you being real.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And excuse me. I think that's a great segue into the next question. So the next question I have for you, Wita, right? Um, and you made a very good point. A lot of times, you'll see persons correcting their child if they're speaking patois in public and try to, because they want them to sound prim and proper. So don't you think that if it was an official language and persons chose to only learn patois, it would add to the stigmatization that already exists in the country, wherein if you can't speak English, because English is used as a yardstick in a lot of countries, right? Especially for Black people, right? Um, overseas, in US, North America, let's put it that way. If you are Black and you can't speak English, then you are seen as somewhat, it's almost as if you're illiterate, right? While if you're Chinese and you can't speak English, oh, he's just Chinese. Or if you're Indian and you can't speak English, oh, you're just Indian. But if you're black and you can't speak English, you speak French or Xhosa or one of those other languages, then it's like you're literate. So, what's your take on that? Do you think it's going
Uh,
to add to the stigmatization that already exists if we establish it as a second language?
Interesting point that you brought forward. Will it add to it? No, I don't think it will um, add to it in a negative way. Once it's acknowledged as relates to an official language, then it, you know what I mean, this conversation would even be a conversation. It will help people to appreciate it more. And that's why I say it's important for them to learn to speak both. Because I tell you, a lot of us talk pot about we can't even spell pot. So if it's
Hey,
if it's official,
yeah.
some of us will be able to spell it and know when there's a plural or some form of context clue or whatever when it comes to patois. So um, knowing it and knowing what to use instead of using the patois will make it even better. So, for example, if a child know to say "me a come," and in the English, "I am coming, mommy. I'll be there shortly." Them knowing the difference, they will know how to navigate themselves when they're in public. But because it's a case where the patois is so natural, when they say it, the parents shout at them or a teacher or whatever. A lot of time they're afraid to express themselves, so they're not able to put the English with the patois to analyze and speak properly.
So, in other words, they're having trouble communicating or expressing themselves.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like Spanish. You know, when we're doing Spanish in school, and we know that,
There's a
muy
difference.
bien, gracias, and then we
Hmm.
see the English above it, so we know how to relate it. So it's relatable. So because it's not being seen official, it's not able to be relatable. So when them, as I said, I believe like 70% of Jamaican cannot write in patois. We all have different words for when we're writing patois. So
I'm
you
sorry,
know,
with that, what did you say earlier? Did you say you're for it or against it? Because the points that you're making, it seems as if you're against it.
no, the point that I'm making, I'm saying if it's officialized, we'll be able to have, you know what I mean? It's just like when we talk about the king, who's the king of the answer. There are some criteria there so you know how to navigate. So if it's officialized, we'll know how to navigate and have proper spellings that we can relate to our people and then relate the English to it, just like what Google is doing, so people will understand it globally. So they'll be able to speak in both. So I'm
Okay.
saying both are important.
Q, me jump back over to your side. So question I asked Vita is about stigmatization and people being it's almost looked down on if you can't speak proper English, right? So I want to hear your thoughts on that, as well as don't you think that again, just going back to the question, if we were to have two languages and they can only speak patois, don't you think that is going to be, reinforcing the perception that English is a superior language, or, isn't that going to give persons that can speak English a little bit more prestige than persons that are only speaking patois?
Well, the only person who believe that are Jamaicans because it's been recognized throughout the world.
Hmm.
When you think of Jamaican, you think of Patois. It's a form of identity. Now, if you're asking me if it would be great that an individual can speak two different languages if um, it's been taught in school, I believe that would be a plus. But knowing that we are an English-speaking island where we get a lot of English-speaking tourists, right? It's good that we can communicate with them, right? Now, that might create an opportunity, right? Because I'm going to drift a little bit. That's like dancing, where you see the dancers, they're taking their craft and they're making a living from that. Now, if it's been taught, as we just said before, and structured the right way in school and not seen as a bad thing, but as seen as a good thing, where we're taking pride in our culture, our language, right? That stigma, I believe, need to change because you can't say, yeah, speak bad if that's the way how you communicate.
Okay.
If that's the way you communicate, it's not a matter of speaking bad, but it's a plus if you can speak proper English for someone to understand what you're saying. But if you're talking to a fellow Jamaican, I mean, every Jamaican understand Patois, even if them can't write it.
That is true. But you so you're someone that has said on previous podcasts that the country has more serious matters and more pressing issues that they need to focus on, right? Don't you think that implementing pushing something like this where we're going to formalize this language and make it a part? So Jamaica is going to be a dual language country then, if that were to be the case. If it's official, then Jamaica would officially be a dual language country. Now, persons that live in Canada, that from what I've heard, I can tell you that Canada being a dual language country has its advantages and disadvantages. So one of the disadvantages is every single thing that is printed like if you buy a soda or something like that, the label has to be in French and it has to be in English, right? And also it's going to be something that has to be taught in school. And because it's a dual language country, everything that every government document has to be available both in English and in Patois. So do you think we have the financial resources to support something like that?
Now, good thing you say that. So who would be doing the printing? It wouldn't be the government. It would be private sector, because if you're doing a business, you want to communicate in different languages. So I see that as a plus, right? That means more books. That means you have more, as Witta said before, you have people can speak it, but they can't write it. Now, that's just like dancing. They used to look down on dancing. Now, dancers are making a living from that. So you're creating an opportunity there. That's one thing that we can capitalize on. That's the way I would look at that. You can capitalize from that. You'd have more people going abroad teaching Patois because all over the world, people want to learn it, right? So you would have a little man in the street. It would force him to expand his horizon and learn to express himself better by learning, English a little bit more, because English is pretty close. Once you know once you can speak Patois, if you practice English, you can learn it, right? So I think it's a plus. The guys who are doing printing in Jamaica, well, them get more printing for do. that create more job opportunities. The teachers have one more thing for teach. So that means a teacher can get, more money if even teaching Patois abroad.
So I like your optimism, right? I like your optimism. I like that you are able to see, and that's one of the things about Kommon Cents and its hosts. We always see the business sense and see things from a positive perspective, which is great. But we want to be realistic now, right? No, definitely, business owners are going to face that cost in terms of, ensuring that their products are dual labeled. But also the government has to put in substantial investment because this is a whole language, right? A language comes with a dictionary, and in that dictionary you have, specific words and specific meanings. Now, you spoke about a book earlier, or maybe there are several books, and you spoke about Google Translate. Now, I've looked at both of these, and what I've found is that there's a lot of disparity between several words because there's no official spelling, which I alluded to that earlier. No official spelling for any specific word. And also, a lot of words have dual meaning as well. A simple thing like why, you know? It could mean, why are you doing this? Or it could mean why, you know what I mean? So, and if you're Jamaican, you know what I'm talking about. So,
It's a dual moment.
As Poppy would have said, it's a lifestyle moment. Here the thing is, let me ask you this, Jackson.
Yes.
How much people is in Jamaica?
2.8 million.
All right. When you look on some of Massacre songs, some of Popcorn songs, some of Vibes Cartel songs, don't it reach don't some of them reach like 24 million?
Even a billion, I think Spice in that category are some Jamaican artists, yeah.
So if they don't understand,
for sure.
What I'm trying to say is that show you how global the language is, right? Because people are learning it through music. You have people who from different countries, different walks of life, different culture, different race that is singing dancehall songs.
Right.
Right? So that means you would have people come in, and if you have a dictionary, don't you think we should have owned that dictionary? That's another opportunity.
It has to be owned by the country that owns the language.
Exactly.
It's not own the language, but as officialize the language.
So don't you think that's more income? There's more opportunities there?
Definitely there's opportunities, but again, we're talking about probably millions, not probably millions, definitely millions, probably billions. So do you think, and I wanted to chime in here as well. Do you think implementing a bilingual system would the cost of implementing it would outweigh the benefits, or do you think the benefits would outweigh the cost? Because from what I'm hearing, it's just something where like a feather in a cap. You don't sound as if it's something that is income generating.
I'm happy you asked that question. No, I'm gonna get a little colorful with some of our words. You know what I mean? This is common sense. And if this word is legal in Germany and Europe and it's abroad, the word bomboclat, right? There's a festival. So we don't even own our curse words. We don't even earn it. It's one of the biggest reggae festivals in the world. They brand it. They have a beer name on it. They're making billions from it. And we shy away from it. If our DJs are any of that say these things on stage, they're fined and locked up. We look at a recent episode with Chronic Law, you know what I mean, expressing itself. And we said, what? That's disrespectful.
What he said was disrespectful, yes.
Yes, some people saying it's disrespectful, but it's colorful language. It's his native tongue.
It was very disrespectful, sir.
So are you saying that the brand that is using that word abroad and have it for a beer and a festival, they are disrespectful as well? While they're making billions from it and we are shunning our very native language?
So you see, because it's not an official language, those words.
That's where I'm going. So you're asking, this is what you just asked me.
Yes.
Is it that we can capitalize from it or it's going to be too costly? And I just make a prime example of persons who are capitalizing on our language and branding it, owning the word, and they're not Jamaicans.
But so we're talking about language here, right? So nobody owns the words in language. So for example, even though Spanish is, I guess, predominantly from Spain or is from Spain, if I should take a Spanish word and let's say a random word, let's say te amo, right? And I should call my party te amo, then, the Spanish government cannot come to me and say, hey, te amo is a Spanish word. You need to pay me some money because they use a Spanish word to name a party.
It's not about a party. I said they have a beer.
Even if it was a beer.
So
the Spanish government cannot come and say, hey, you cannot name your beer a Spanish word. That's not how language works. You can't monetize it like that. It's just a
So
word.
look at it this way. Our words is not classified as word. It's not even classified as a language, I think.
That's an official language, no.
Exactly. It's where I'm going. And another country is benefiting from it.
We can benefit from it as well. We just can't use the curse words.
If we change the mindset like what you have, if we should look on where the words come from, and we make it bad, you know, the blood clot and the bumbo clot was coming from a specific description of the slaves. The woman used to wash your blood clot and put it on the line to dry. And the list goes on.
Mr.
So
Witter, I think you're enjoying that a little bit too much, you know.
A little bit too much.
I'm just being a Jamaican by speaking these words. And that's what you asked me how how we can capitalize on these.
I don't think that's the way though.
There's a lot of shirt. Well, I'm saying other countries are doing it. So the way that you don't think is the way other countries are doing it and making billions off it.
So why can't we do it?
Because we have to get that mindset from what you have. We have to get rid of that mindset. Seeing that, oh my God, that's a dirty word. Or even when the kids speak, I tell you before, when the kids speak in their language, me nah go there. Pipe, chat better.
Can I ask you, gentlemen, a question?
Yeah, man.
I was interrupted, but go ahead.
My apologies, sir. It's as Papa would say, it's apologetic moment.
That is it.
So it doesn't matter if I'm jumping up my Patois for the rest of the podcast. That's all I was saying. Continue, Mr. Witter.
I guess some people will judge you and say you chat bad, you know? And the podcast need to speak properly. You see what I'm talking about? We are the one, as Q said, that is looking down on our own language. Why people praise it. People love it. You know, when you travel and they say you're Jamaican, they say, wow. I was the Irish. You know what I mean? This is what bring tourists for our country, which is our one of our main benefit. And this is what they love, our culture. Yeah. But we like to make sure, you see, right now we are losing our culture, right? No, we're losing Jamaica is becoming more Americanized. We lose our fashion sense.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but you know what?
I think agree to disagree. But a lot of persons who are listening now will say yes, because our very cultural games are no more.
Okay, but I think that's a lot of those things are just victims of the technological advances that we've had. And children playing on tablets and stuff like that. It's not necessarily that has nothing to do with the language.
And that's why we want to change the mindset of our people that you have. Because in a lot of different countries, in India and so forth, they make sure that they still keep a lot of cultural games and the traditional way of marriage and different things, the Jews, and they still keep their cultural ways. But what you just said? It's because the new age and that, no. Culture is important.
I didn't say culture is not important. I'm telling you the reason that a lot of people are losing their culture is because they are. Can I finish my sentence or no?
No, you weren't going to interrupt me, but go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. So as I was saying before you interrupted, I was saying the reason a lot of people the culture is lost is because people are focusing more on technology. They're not outside anymore.
Oh, so you agree?
It's not about agreeing. It's a fact. A fact does not need any type of agreement or anybody to. If I throw this cup up in the air and it's going to fall, I don't need anyone to agree with it. It is going to fall, right?
If you want to debate the fact that you're what I was saying, I thought you were opposing to it, but you're then explaining the same thing that I'm saying.
Anyway, we're gonna take a quick break because we're gonna take a quick break and we'll come back in a few minutes. All right, Kommon Cents, make it make sense.
Welcome back to Common Sense. Common Sense make sense. You know what I mean? We're here with our host, and we take a break because there was just now some heated conversation that leads to should Patois, you know what I mean, become one official language. Um, so we're just talking, with me and Jackson about, as it relates to Patois, how important it is to our culture and how it's important to make sure that we keep pushing our culture forward because our culture is currently dying. A lot of our kids know nothing about things that is a part of our culture. All right. So Q, what are you doing, sir?
I'm there, man. I'm there.
I'm responsive. In other words, he's here and he's listening. Q, very interesting topic. I like the points that you push forward. I see that you're a man that wears your culture strong and very proud of your culture. I can see my brother with the white collar, Jackson, believes that English is the number one language, and that's what we should focus our kids speak properly so they can advance, right?
Even though he didn't say
Now,
that.
so let's move forward with a question for Q. Q, do you feel if when you stepped out in any working field, if you bring forth your language while relating to individuals, they'll be able to understand you? Explain. You're a man that is in quite a few business and you have meet a lot of persons and you're proud of your language. Let me know how you find that if it's difficult.
Well, the moment people identify that you're a Jamaican, whether you're in Jamaica or you're out of Jamaica, they're fascinated by it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You
now,
don't get a pushback type of energy.
Can you repeat that?
You don't get that type of energy like they're pushing back against it when they hear speak your patois.
I mean, if they don't understand what you're saying, it's all about clarity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you hear somebody speaking Spanish and you don't understand, it's not that you're getting a pushback, it's just that you want to understand what they're saying, right? So people are curious and people are fascinated about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say that they're looking on it in a negative way, but if they do not understand what you're saying, it would be in your best interest and their best interests for you to speak in a language where they can understand, or you can teach them.
Okay. So you still find your way navigating speaking patois in the business world.
That's who I am. I'm a Jamaican. You know what I mean? So I mean, from time to time, people might have it as when you say something in patois, people might say it's your accent, right? And they accept it. They'll be like, oh, Jamaican, and they might use a curse word to identify it.
Okay. So how is it with the girls when you speak in patois?
Gentlemen, so the podcast is not about my personal life, but if I can recall the other day when I mentioned Jamaican and Gallus,
it's a Gallus moment.
you guys refrain from considering yourself to be a Jamaican Gallus. So I'm surprised that you use this opportunity to bring that back.
I'm just asking the experience that you face when you use your language. I've heard persons state that when they do speak in their language overseas, females like it. And you can comment in the comment section if that's the case with you. All right, let's turn over to Jackson. Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
the man who believes that if you want to get to higher heights in this world, you have to speak properly. Is that so, Jackson?
Definitely.
Okay.
The first point you made that I'm actually gonna agree with.
Wow. That's a wow moment. So, Jackson, do you believe that when you're speaking to your fellow Jamaicans, do you speak in Patois or you speak in English? And if you do speak in English, are they able to respond to you, or they say, this man I talk to and my twang, or even your friends? What type of pushback you get with that when you're speaking to your fellow Jamaicans?
If I'm speaking to a fellow Jamaican that is my friend, that, like in my circle, then, it's probably going to be a hybrid of Patois and a mixture of Patois and English. But I'd say definitely if me speak or me talk or me chat raw Patois, then, it's not out of place. So if you're talking about social circles, that's different. Because I can tell you, if you're hanging around Chinese or Indians or even Africans, right? When they're speaking in their social circles, they're speaking their native language. So that's definitely a norm for you to, do that in a social setting. But as you mentioned just now, if we're talking about advancing and to be a part of the business world, um, English is definitely required. So whether you're from France or you're from Spain, or it doesn't matter where in the world you're from, if you're gonna do business in North America, whether Canada or US, you definitely have to speak English.
So, do you believe in culture and cultural awareness? Do you believe in that?
Yeah, man. And I'd like to point out that I think Jamaica's culture is very dominant in the music and in all of the arts and plays and Jamaican movies. It's dominant and it's well preserved here. So I don't think we're looking at losing our culture, if that's what you're trying to say here.
I'm
It
just
is well
asking questions.
preserved.
You're saying, I'm asking questions.
What's the question?
I'm,
Sorry.
I said, I'm saying I'm asking the question, and you are saying, you're speaking. So you're saying that as you do believe in preserving the culture and cultural
Definitely.
awareness. So why wouldn't you believe in preserving and making Patois official?
And you know what? I don't know if it's a never make it an official language. But what I can say is we're probably 10, 20, not even 10, I'd say 20, 30 years away from that.
You
Because
don't see this in time in the near future.
nowhere in the near future, because there's no standard for Patois.
There's no standard for Patois.
There is no standard. Like we're here
Explain
talking, and by the end of this call, we can come up with a word and it catch on and it becomes a part of our Patois
So,
language.
so, so that's the
So
thing. If they're officializing something, they will be setting the standard, the criteria, the spellings, etc., the
yeah, but
dictionaries. You name it.
in order for them to do that, they have to start somewhere, right?
All right.
So
So
there's
let me.
there's no framework for it right now.
Mm,
People's language.
mhm.
Or is a case that you're not knowledgeable enough to speak the language, sir?
To speak which language?
What
Patois.
that? What Patois?
Funny.
Because
Do,
when
do
when,
you,
when I
do
do
you
look
think
at
it?
when I do look at you and I see an uptown guy who's not proud of his Patois.
I can assure you with that you're more uptown than I am.
But if I'm more uptown than you are, I'm pushing the narrative of preserving our patois. But listen, we're going to get there because let me talk to Q.
Yeah.
Let me get so Q. As it relates to our language and the language barrier that we face, because we want to point out the different language barrier and why I did say both of them are important, and I believe that the two of them should be. English is officialized, likewise Patna, so the kids will be able to speak in both and understand the difference, what one mean and the other. When you first travel Q and you ask for peer, how did that? When you said, where do they sell peer? And you realize that peer is something different in the English language. When you face some language barrier like these, how were you able to navigate and work with it?
Well, funny enough, I was blessed to be in Orchards before I ever traveled. So, we deal with a lot of tourists.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it wasn't a challenge when I went overseas or traveled anywhere in the world to identify what's the difference between avocado and pear and football and soccer. But I believe that I'm an ambassador for my island wherever I go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anyone who travel feel that way, right? So we will start conversation like I'm moving away, not just what you asked me, I'm adding more to it.
That's okay.
So I would say to people in America, you guys call this football. I don't understand. You run with the ball in your hand, and that's not just a Jamaican thing, but Jamaican strong on that. You run with the ball in your hand and you call it football. You kick the ball one time in the game, and you call this one soccer. You call this avocado and you call this you call this avocado when we call this Jamaican pear. So anywhere I go, I hear what they're saying, but I try to make them understand what I am saying also. So as
So
I
that's
said,
a teaching moment.
huh?
So that's a teaching moment.
Why? So, we try to push we are like walking dictionaries, but for culture, you know what I mean? Because people love it. Yeah, they love it. They ask you questions about it. You know what I mean? Them expect you to have an answer. So I believe we should take pride in what we have because people throughout the world is embracing us and accepting us, right? So if you're watching this podcast, this is coming from me, not necessarily common sense. This is just our opinion, but nobody not talk bad and nobody not bad here. You speak or for communicate, right? So if you want to say round so, up so, that way there, look more, it is accepted. Doesn't matter who want to accept it, as long as when you're communicating, who you're communicating to, they understand what you're saying. Because Chinese, right? When they talk about Chinese, they speak Mandarin, just like what Kimara was saying, and they have different type of Chinese languages, right? It's not just one. And everywhere they go, if you said to them, okay, you're Chinese, do you speak Mandarin? They might tell them, no, I don't speak Mandarin, even though they do understand. So it's about taking pride in where you're from, embracing it, because people accept it. As I said, this narrative about speaking bad is only Jamaican talk like that. When they go through some places to the world, some people tell us I'm a Jamaican and they act like Jamaican, they talk like Jamaican. And what I'm saying is, if people throughout the world accept it, as I said before, the dancehall artists, right? If nobody never understand what I say, how they must sing it, and them understand, why yoy?
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your opinion. Now I'm going back to my uptown brethren. Jackson, I'm just messing around. Listen, we are all about reasoning and discussing. So if I at times, cut a little qualm, Jackson understand. Jackson, if when you talk about the artists and their transition towards the patois. But I have to be fair because I said I respect you saying this because a lot of Jamaicans are hypocrite to it. They say they are proud of it, but if their child speaking this way, they will get mad at them and tell them to speak properly. So I appreciate you being standing firm on what you're saying, and I respect that. So I'm going to give you this question. Do you think artists that are able to cross over music, artists who are able to cross over internationally, do you think they try to slow and speak more properly in their lyrics so persons can understand? And that's one of the key principle for their songs to propel to the next level?
I mean, music is different. Music is different. When you think about music, you think about the Afrobeats, you think about the reggaeton, and you know, mostly those right now, probably back in the day, you probably have some other emerging languages that came into the R&B and rap space. But, it's more of a crossover when you listen to a reggaeton, or you listen to, and actually reggaeton is almost straight Spanish, most of them, right? But a lot of them have a crossover. So it's a reggaeton singer, they'll feature a rap artist, right? Afrobeats, you'll see them transition or throughout the song, they'll change from, French to English or whatever their native tongue is to English, just to ensure that they kind of, include the global marketplace. So I don't think that they should change in the sense of, sing the like a DJ the song in a proper English, right? Because DJing the song in proper English is not going to be authentic, right? But I think that they definitely can have a line or two in English, which I think most of them do. And again, because Patois is so close to English, there's some English words that there isn't a Patois word for, right? If anything, it's just a pronunciation issue and not necessarily a separate word. So if you look at 90% of the English words remain the same when you convert it to Patois, but you might pronounce it different. So for example, if you're DJing or singing about oranges, right? A DJ might pronounce it with a H because Jamaicans pronounce all of their vowels with a H. So instead of saying orange, they say orange. Instead of saying apples, they say apple. Instead of saying house, they say no. And when it starts with an H, they drop off the H, right? So if it's house, they say house, right? And if it's woman, they say woman, right? So it's not necessarily a different word. It's kind of just a pronunciation thing, right? And that's kind of one of the reasons why, I just don't think we have enough words in the Patois dictionary to make a whole language. It's just like a lot of the words, it's really English and it's just a deviation or a different pronunciation of it. But going back to your artist, your artist point, and one of the points that you made earlier in terms of, how you communicate outside of Jamaica, one of the things you'll find is, okay, they find out that you're Jamaican, wagwan, or they might say a curse word or something like that, bumbleclad, right? They don't know what it means, but they've heard it a lot of times, so them say it, right? But that's the extent of it. That is the extent of it, right? Because if you say, wagwan, me charge everything good, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, what did you say? Can you explain that to me? What does this mean? And it turns into a whole thing where as Wita said, you're teaching them the language, right? But in order for you to communicate with them, just like how someone that natively speaks Hindi or Gujarati or one of those Indian languages, or Mandarin or Chinese or any one of those, right? Mandarin or Cantonese, sorry. They might know one word. Japanese, they say arigato, or Chinese, hi, ninong shwa yingwan ma, or whatever it is, right? But that's the extent of it. If they're going to continue the conversation, it's going to be in English, right? So it's not that I don't appreciate my heritage and my culture. And obviously, we can code switch, as them call it, and we can chat raw patois if we need to do that. But at the same time, at the same time, we can definitely preserve our heritage and our culture without putting such a financial strain on the government. That is what I'm pretty much taking.
I'm glad you mentioned that. The other day, some persons were saying that Vybz Kartel did an interview with academics one of the main vloggers in America, streamers.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying they felt like he was twanging a bit. You know what I mean? But what would you say to these persons, someone who understand that once you're on a platform such as this, how would you relate to make sure that a wider audience are understanding? What would you say to them?
Again, we don't have an official language, so for us to speak, we want to remain authentic, right? But if we really and truly remain as authentic as we want to be, or authentic as authentic is, then you lose the communication battle, right? Because people are going to go right to the settings and they're going to turn on the caption. Because they're going to be lost in the conversation. So it depends. So if your point is remaining authentic, you can remain authentic, yes, but you're not going to be able to communicate the point that you went on that show to communicate. And then you basically lose out on an opportunity on a huge platform to really, present yourself and present your thoughts and stuff like that. So that's how I look at that.
All right, thanks. I appreciate the opinions of you gentlemen. I tell you, Jackson, I tell you, you bring up some firm points and Q as well. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna take a break and we'll be back shortly with questions with Q. See you in a few.
Common sense, make it make sense.
That is it.
I'm here with the two scholars. You know me, I got pat up on them now. We have the Uptown Jackson.
What is Uptown? Yeah, come down. Come on.
No,
Don't you go, brother? I don't Uptown thing.
Gentlemen, whether we want to accept it or we don't want to accept it, the world accept Patois.
Yeah.
Because it have a vibes, it have a buzz. Now, Jackson.
We thought they right to say,
Jackson.
Yes, sir.
So, based on what I'm getting from you, right? You're saying you think it's going to cost the government to make Patois an official language. Why do you say that, sir?
Again, going back to the fact that we don't have an official set of words, we're going to have to train and educate a lot of people on what the official words are for Patois compared to English, because there has to be some separation, right? Even though like words like, languages like Latin and Spanish are very close and they share a lot of similar words, I'm sure it's going to be something like that, but we have to create some sort of separation. So that's going to take some sort of think group and some sort of agreement, consensus and all of that. And, government and red tape already, bureaucracy. Everything in the government takes money. But you have to train government officials. You have to produce resources. You have to implement it in schools, which means books. And you're looking at adding another subject to the curriculum and all of those things. So that's where I'm taking it from when I said, it's going to cost money. And official documents as well. It's going to be printed 2 different languages.
Sound like if you was a farmer, you wouldn't have no crop.
Why you say that now? You always come with your analogy.
Because don't you believe that you have to invest a little? Not a lot, you have to invest a little to reap a little. When tourists come to Jamaica and them say water, do anybody have to tell them that's water?
Why is that?
Huh?
Why is that?
No, I'm asking you that question. When tourists come to Jamaica and they say water, does anybody have to tell them that's water?
I suppose the water was so...
No.
Listen, you asked me a question and you answered.
No, yes, it's supposed.
Continue. Let me know if you
Anybody
can
have to
answer
tell
your
him that?
question.
Anybody have to tell him that's water? Yes or no?
Like, it's not a yes or no question. If the water came in a cup like this and it had water written on it, they would definitely ask questions. But it's in a clear bottle and they can clearly see that it's water, sir. And the design of the bottle is consistent with North American water bottles. So they know that it's water, sir.
When tourists come to Jamaica,
Yeah.
them come to speak English, or them come to learn Patois?
Well, I mean, I think they come for the land, wood, and water. You know, I don't know if they come to speak. They come to speak patois, but no, I definitely understand what you're saying. So, like, when I'm going to a foreign country that speaks a different language, I try to, pull up, download Duolingo. You know what? Let me stop right there because I think I'm continue.
No, I'm listening to what you're saying. When you go to a different language, when a different country, you like to do what?
No, man, continue.
Mm.
I was going to say
So,
I'll pull up
so, so, so,
Duolingo
so, so,
and search for that language so that I can learn more about it. So when I get there, I learn a little 1 hour, 2 sentence.
perfect. So you see how the educational system is going to be benefiting from that, right? Because
Yeah, that's
do
why I
we
didn't
have
want to
those
see
resources available right now?
it. Yeah. We
No, do
don't.
we?
We
Okay.
have it in Google. We have it in Google
No,
something. But
they
again, it's
have it
not
in Google.
consistent.
No, they have it in Google.
Right.
But what do we have it in?
I mean,
Yo,
it's an
yo,
opportunity for our tour guides to become, a teacher in that moment, and they get to earn a little bit a little tip, and because them teach them a little one word and a little curse word.
So like
So
you agree with me now.
you know what, if you rob the tour guide them and the bus operators them, the hotel staff. That's their opportunity to educate the tourists on our beautiful cultural language and earn a little thing by the side.
Extra. Mr. Winter,
here,
so
sir.
we use as a musician, man that wear many caps, many hats. Would you think that if a Jamaican learned to speak the language when writing songs for people overseas in different countries, they can earn more, can it increase their can we have more songwriters? If it's been teaching school and that level where it's a language, we can teach other people to write songs better. Do you think that would be that would be an advantage or a disadvantage for the music fraternity?
Funny enough, me and some brethren was having a reasoning, and they were saying, if Sean Paul does dancehall, and when he do a lot of collabs, is it really dancehall music? And I said, when person reach out to artists from dancehall quote unquote artists, they reach out to us based on our flavor, our style, and that's the culture. And we actually represent that, even if it's not a dancehall quote unquote beat. So when they reach out to us, yes, it would definitely help artists and writers because there are a lot of different artists overseas from different genre. They reach out to us to get our certain flavor, the way we talk. For example, Sean Paul, Dirty, being a man, Zaga Zaga, So it will definitely add a lot to it. But I want to go a little deeper.
Would Zaga Zaga be in the dictionary?
I'll get there. I want to get a little deeper. For Jackson, back in slavery would be one of the old slaves. So we'll look on
Bro,
colonialism.
what me do? No,
What,
man, you
what,
can't do me that, man.
let me finish. So the old slaves are the ones who can speak a little more better and kind of lose their blackness, their culture, and able to communicate better with the master. So they will see themselves above, a little above the yard slave. Now the yard slave who still believe in his way of speaking with his ancestors and his cultural belief. So we don't want to make sure that, white
So
man
you're the
language.
yard slave.
Can I finish? Nothing is wrong with being a yard slave. Some of the heroes that come from that even the heroes of our Jamaica and a lot of different stories.
Like
They
Frederick Douglass.
no, you don't you're if you want to say that you can say that. That's coming from you. If you listen, you hear what I'm saying. Um, a lot of these heroes that come from a lot of these stories. Yes, nothing is wrong with being a yard slave. It's better than be the one that kiss up to the master and the person who look down on their own culture. So we have to understand that in all of this, it's not about losing our culture and our blackness. It's not just about just speaking properly. It's letting our future still secure as relates to what culture is and what it feels like. You understand? It's not just to say, oh, you want to speak the white man language because you want to relate better and make more
But
money. Culture has a sense of, respect, pride, as what Q mentioned. So I want us to look at it that way.
so
It's very
Hold on, Cube. You have to answer because the man said
no, hold on.
yeah, slave.
One other thing that
Which language you do speak, sir?
I'm gonna let you finish, Jackson. But one other thing I want to strongly say is speaking Patois, even though it's not considered a language, me personally I don't think it's speaking bad. I think it as Poppy said, it's a lifestyle moment. Gentlemen. Now, Jackson, say what you're gonna say before I continue.
No, what I was saying is, as Witta so eloquently put in the Queen's language, that, I prefer to speak in the Queen's language. That he was also using just a while ago, right? And the reason he's using that language is because he knows if he speaks in Patois, and if we all speak in Patois on this podcast, then our subscriber base or our viewership would be limited to Jamaica.
No,
Because
man. They're gonna stop on the right there. They're gonna stop
no,
on the
no,
right
no,
there.
you don't have to stop
No,
me.
hold
I
on,
know that
gentlemen.
there are Jamaicans
Hold on.
overseas.
No, hold on.
You're so wrong, my friend.
No, hold on.
You're misguided,
Because
I would say.
no, hold on, gentlemen. Because me I go show you something right now. Me I go show you
Talking
say
about
me
then.
nas me I go rah. You understand what I say? But here what now?
You don't understand what I say at all, brother. But
Because
continue.
you're uptown youth.
But
This is what I'm saying now. This is what I'm saying. I'm pushing for more Louis. No, hold on, gentlemen. No, gentlemen. Can I finish what I'm saying, Mr. Witter? Give me a chance. Mr. Witter, give me a chance. Witter,
Let me just point out one word.
Witter, let me continue. Go ahead, Witter.
That's one word I want to point out. He said the Queen's language. You hear what he said? I want you to pay attention to that. The Queen's
You point
language.
out the word. Q, continue now.
All
I
right,
would
so
mention slavery with Jackson. Go ahead.
now, one more Louis Bennett, one more Carl Bradshaw, one more Paul Campbell. They might get old. So this thing where one more Oliver Samuels, one more Louis Rankin. Do you realize these people are getting old?
Some of them pass on as well.
Exactly. So who, as Witter said before, Jackson, if these are arts, and if these things are not teaching in school, how can we perfect that art? People make careers out of speaking Patois. You're going against that, Jackson?
He's going
No,
against
hold on,
Miss Lou.
Jackson. No, hold on, Witter. Jackson, you're going against that?
Jackson is going against Miss
I am
Lou.
not going against preserving the culture. As I mentioned, it is our culture. It is the language that is that is
Oh, so it's a
spoken at
language
home.
now.
Well, we all know it's a language, or it's a dialect, or whatever you want to call it. But that's what we speak at.
That's all I want from you.
That is what we speak at home. So, from the moment you're born, you're learning Patois until you start go school. Most kids don't even learn English until them start go school in Jamaica. The only thing they might learn it from is like Miss Rachel or on TV or whatever. But parents teach them English words, but they don't teach them how to speak English until they start school.
Dancehall artists who are making millions. What language do they speak? Jackson.
Patois.
Okay. No.
But isn't this the same podcast that we spoke about the challenge of breaking into overseas markets with like Cartel and compared to a Sean Paul?
No, but you have people before Cartel and Sean Paul.
Yeah, Bob Marley. Listen to Bob Marley song them.
No, maybe those are the people that you know, but you have other people that we have to put your hats to. Do some more research, Jackson.
Yeah, man. I know there are others, but the ones that make it really big are the ones that transition, as I mentioned. They have a few lines in English that people can understand and resonate with.
Jackson, I would advise you. Common Sense.
Tell me who you talk about. Tell me.
No, and Kommon Cents Podcast, because you're the man who normally have your facts straight. Type in for the computer before the podcast. Type in before the podcast. You have a smartphone. No, hold on.
You're trying to make your point, and I should prove it for you. Why would I do that?
No, I'm educating you. No.
Why would I do that?
It's common sense, you have a smartphone and you have a smart computer. Don't ask dumb questions.
It's not a dumb question. It's a factual statement.
No, a common sense, man. Make it make sense.
Which artist has made it big overseas that has not DJ, singer, whatever in dual language, basically. So half part of it in a Patois, or a few words in a Patois, and most of the words in English.
Common sense fraternity. Comment that in the comment section. Correct this gentleman.
Just
give him some common sense. Make it make sense. Listen, even the people in the comment section can educate you enough. So I'm gonna leave them to you.
Because I'm sure na Buju you talk about. And a Buju you talk.
So hold on, you stop a Buju. There's nobody before Sean Paul. There's nobody before Sean Paul and Shaggy and Beanie Man and Bounty Killer and Vibes Cartel and
you call two names already, you're not calling none yet.
No, me I say a common sense, make it make sense. Me tell us them exist.
Me not gonna make a point for you, sir. So if you make a point, tell me who you are.
No, common sense fraternity. Common sense fraternity. You know, drop a comment in the comment section. And educate Jackson and some of the people them where in the know about. It's okay to educate. It's okay to educate with you, Obviously, you know what I'm going. You see, because him stop at Uptown. Wait.
Can I give two names and the Kommon Cents fraternity?
Yeah, man. Help him out.
I'm helping you out as well.
I will tell you, no man, cue your help out.
Shabba, a super cat.
And you go deeper than that.
So they will put it in the comments.
No.
Gentlemen. And then they use the English.
Okay.
Gentlemen, as I was saying, no, our culture is not just based on our food.
Right.
Our culture is based on Patois. Right? And now we are reach out to the education. And me personally, from the Kommon Cents Podcast, I reach out to the educational system. I said, we want to teach that in a school too. Because we are teach religious education and all these things, right? We are teach different things in a school, right? Every day the booklets them go up so. But we are left out. You see, when you learn to communicate in English, yes, number one language, right? But we need to make Patois be up there too, because other people are earn a living from it. Now, who we have to replace Louis Bennett? How long now Louis Bennett? My condolences to the legendary Louis Bennett. Jackson, who we have to replace her? Or who we have to carry on our legacy?
And you think that formalizing the language is going to create a person out of thin here?
No,
so
that's what
that has nothing to do with the language. If anything, that has to do with, the cultural heritage. And I think there's a doctor. I don't remember his name, but he looked like Bruce Golding.
See, you don't even know his name. So nobody know
One
what you're
brown
talking about.
man. But he has a lot of, he does his poetry and he does it in Patois and he's very good.
So you don't even know the name of the person, so it no count.
I
You
think
sure,
that's
sure,
what
Credit the person. Yeah, credit the person
you
the
know
same
me
time.
attack
I
though. You
discredit
know
the
me
person the
attack.
same.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
You see, what you're doing right now, you're crediting the person and discrediting the person at the same time.
Oh,
So, me
don't
don't
do
know
me
what you're
that.
talking about.
Don't do me that. I'll look up his name.
You learn Patois now.
So just to say that to Jackson, it will benefit because just like how Louis Bennett used to have massive person traveling just to hear her tell stories in Patois and how she bring across these different points and etc. As Q mentioned, persons can travel overseas to bring forth that culture, just the same. So it will open a lot of doors to different persons who willing to be a tutor in our language.
I mean, you have Edna Manley and a few other schools that actually do teach some continue that culture in expression in Patois. But what we're talking about is basically the language itself, which is a whole different subject.
It's the same subject. How it will create opportunities is the same subject. I tell you, I don't know what as a house slave what you're getting at, you know. But
No, man,
just to
you
clarify
can't
something.
call me an old slave, my youth. Say you suffer from colonial dissidence. Okay? Because so a lot of Jamaicans, and I notice, brainwashing, because just how you
No,
speak
you are
about,
very much. In other words, you're
just
whitewashed.
how you speak
You're
about,
whitewashed. You're telling us to
you
get
say
rid
the
of our
word
culture.
slave.
You're saying
You
that
say the
our
word
culture,
slave,
hold on,
right?
hold on. You're
What?
saying that culture isn't shouldn't be official. To be a Jamaican, you should be
I
ashamed of
didn't say
yourself saying
culture,
that.
no, I said patois.
Jackson, Jackson,
I
shame
didn't
on
say
you.
culture, I said patois.
Jackson, shame on you.
Gentlemen,
Okay, Q.
so I asked Jackson a question. Who you think carry on Louis Bennett
Right.
legacy, right? So
Okay.
so I'm gonna call a few names. You have Carl Bradshaw, you have Paul Campbell, you have Oliver Samuels, you have
Oliver Samuels.
thank you for correcting me, sir. You have Louis Rankin. No, Louis Rankin and Carl Bradshaw. You ever hear them man they speaking proper English in any movie when them come in?
Well, they're Jamaican movies, so the part that they're playing are Jamaicans. However, if you see them on the red carpet, they're speaking proper English. If you hear Paul
No,
Campbell
no,
talk
no.
English,
What
have
I'm
you heard
getting at?
Paul Campbell speak English?
No, what I'm
When you're
saying is
interviewing Paul Campbell, you sound like a completely different person.
no,
It's
because
brilliant.
no, because they learned the art. They went to school and they learned the art, right?
His name
That's
is
what
No,
it's
what
Michael
important to know both
Abrams.
of them. It's important to know both of them. That's what I'm saying.
exactly
It's
that's what I'm saying.
important.
It's a language. So I'm not saying one is important. Comparison steal the joy. I'm not saying you should learn one and don't learn the other. If you're teaching English in school, these people learn patois and put it in an art form for the rest of the world to laugh and enjoy, right? Now, let me say Carl Bradshaw and Louis Rankin, right? These gentlemen never out of character, right? Can they speak English? Definitely. But no, do you think if we have 10 more young youth, I know we have a couple of them coming up, right? And they're learning it. But they can also speak English. What I'm saying is we can do more of that. Don't you agree, gentlemen?
I would say to him, Bob Marley, in all his interview, he has never spoken English. I'll drink to that. What you call rich? Richness is life.
Jackson, not everybody can be as polished as you. So we want our youths who have talent to be exposed, whether through music, whether through acting, whether through dancing, representing the culture, right?
Right.
So if if they can be more structured with the art, right, and not just go on their own understanding, don't you think the nation would benefit from that?
Definitely.
So how can we be more structured if they don't teach it in school?
It doesn't have to. So we're talking about language here,
We're
right?
talking about, no, I'm using the language to say it is an art form. It is used to represent us, right?
Mhm.
Where do we learn structure?
So I get what you're saying, is that
No,
that
where do we learn structure?
You tell me. You're the one making the point.
I tell you again, you have a smartphone, use it. Stop,
So,
Jackson, stop asking me dumb question when you have a smartphone.
which dumb question I ask you? You asked me the question, I refuse to answer.
Yeah, but I know you can
So
answer
me
it.
ask that question.
I know you can answer it. Nobody be too
Stick to
uptown,
your
man.
point, sir. Stick to your point.
All I try to say is, as much as you're uptown, I know you go downtown too.
I'm alone that one still. Anyway, the name of the person that I mentioned earlier is Dr. Michael Abrahams.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
a great point. But
Thank
yeah,
you, sir.
there are a lot of people preserving the culture, and I just want to say that I'm not saying that Patois should never ever be an official language. What I am saying is not right now, not yet. We're not ready for that, right? There are so many other things that are pressing, and I feel like something like this is going to be very tumultuous in the government, because there are some words that people will want added and some words that won't get added and all kind of stuff. And I don't know if that's something that we want to pay attention to right now.
Can I
However,
just
there is
somebody?
definitely value in preserving our culture and maintaining our identity as Jamaicans. Now, just want to point out of the three persons here on the podcast that only one of us has a Jamaican flag in the background. But anyway, Rita, what you saying?
I tell you, I saw the whole slave them being, but anyway. Ah,
Rita, you need to cut out that one there. That one now go take out.
I want to
You can't be call black
highlight
people
before.
slaves. Let me educate you for a second. You cannot be calling black people slaves, right? They are
Slavery
kidnapped
mentality.
Africans.
Hold
They
on,
are Africans that were kidnapped from their country.
let me
Kidnapped
finish.
from their... No, man, let me
Make we
finish,
go back
man.
to, gentlemen, make we go
They're
back to Patois.
Africans.
Make we go
Can I
back
just
to
finish?
Patois.
Can I
Make
finish,
we go back
please?
to Patois.
I was about to say something. I was about to say something. I was saying I was going to highlight
Don't
someone.
compare me to a slave, though. We're not going to allow you to do that.
All right, so what the mentality is what I'm talking about. Of course, you're a very intelligent young man, you're doing great. But it's a mentality thinking that the Queen's language is the best language in our culture.
I
Culture.
did not say
No,
that.
it's not. So that's what
Gentlemen,
I was referring to. Let me make clarity. Let me finish. Let me make clarity to make sure that I'm not saying that you are. Because you're a brilliant person, and you're my brother, and you have put across some tremendous point here tonight. So that's not what I'm saying. If it do offend you, I apologize. But what I'm speaking is a mentality putting another language that is not of our culture in front and our language
I have
shouldn't
never
be
said that.
officialized. Shouldn't be officialized. So one of the person that I want to highlight is Yasus. You were mentioning persons who represent the culture. And this person has gone to keep many shows and award for persons who highlight the culture and love poet and etc. So his name is Yasos.
That's a
I think you
safari.
remember him. Yes. I remember the song. Put it in. You must put it in. Um, there's a next Dove poet by the name of what's his name again? DYCR, that's his name?
Delroy.
Yeah, Delroy. Yes. So we just want to highlight these things. Again, let me apologize to my dear brother. I'm not saying that you are. I was speaking of the mentality of things,
No,
etc.
I know I'm not.
gentlemen, make we not get too emotional right now. This is you remember the Bob Marley movie? They could
Yeah.
not find an actor right?
Yeah.
To play that role in Jamaica. Or they said, it's not that they couldn't find an actor. They said, they think, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if we broaden our horizon in school and start the art form, we have the art form already, but go deeper, go much deeper and dig deeper. We would have more of Teddy Brookshot, Carl Bradshaw, Louis Rankin, Oliver Samuels, and Paul Campbell existing to fulfill most of those roles, right? That's what I'm saying. If we have the art form, if we have the language, we can have people representing bigger roles, right? And more of those things. Gentlemen, common sense, make it make sense. We want to reach out to Kommon Cents fraternity and say, listen, if you don't think we'll leave out for any name, or if you don't want to put in our place, if you want to put them in them place, especially Jackson, especially Jackson over
They
there.
never say Muta Baruka, you know.
No, yeah, talk.
Muta, we apologize.
I'm sure if I get some names, but definitely there are a lot of persons that are trying to preserve the culture and the heritage, and we applaud them and we appreciate them. And you know, I have never said that English is above Patois. You know, all I'm saying is, you know, if you want to buy oil, you have to buy it in USD, right? So there is just a global language, and it is English. So I'm not saying that again that Patois will never be an official language, but I just feel like there are a lot of more things more pressing that we need to focus on. But anyway, Q, you want to read us out?
Gentlemen, I want to take this moment to reach out to the Kommon Cents fraternity. We read in the comments and we like what we're seeing. Wait up. Jackson, I see a few ladies in the last podcast telling me, boy, them a beat my bad. I see they hit Jackson for 6 several times. We love it. And we're listening to the comments and we're reading them. Wait up.
Yes, again, bear in mind that this is means of discussion. Opinion of ours is not the mere opinion of Kommon Cents University. It's just our shared opinion. And I'm sure that you have your opinion as well that you can put in the comment section. And just know that we are brothers and we respect each other. No, do a little jargons and a little say a thing now and there. But this is a medium where we express ourselves, and we love for you to express yourself in the comment sections. And let us know as well some topics that you'd like us to discuss. Kommon Cents, make it make sense.